Morning, good afternoon. My name is David Wilson. Today I want to speak to you on the poetic books of the Bible from the class which I've recently completed. The books are Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs. What is poetry? There are basically two schools of literary thought on how to define the basic nature of poetry. One approach attempts to make a matter purely subjective, arguing that if the text feels poetic and impresses himself upon the mind of the reader as such, then the text is indeed poetic. The other school analyzes the text for diagnostic features that could delimitate a passage as poetry. What do we mean by poetic books? The poetic books in the Bible are a collection of texts which discover human experience, wisdom, and worship. The book Job is a blessing through suffering. Psalms gives us a collection of prayers, songs, and poems. Proverbs provides us with practical wisdom for man. Ecclesiastes is a pursuit of meaning which discusses the futility of worldly endeavors. And Song of Solomon is a passionate love poem of blissful union. Job. The Bible describes God's love as unconditional. When we love God unconditionally, we give everything from the bottom of our hearts and without expecting anything in return. Job suffered physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Job's suffering was not punishment, nor was God angry, but to be satisfied with the holy will of God, no matter. There is so much we do not know nor understand as mere humans. God created it all and has defeated the plans of the enemy. To see him, we must believe with all our heart in his absolute sovereignty. And so in the book of Job, you will find loving God for nothing, three kinds of suffering, God's requirement for us in Job-like suffering, God's present delight in creation and his final defeat of all evil, and now my eyes see you. It's a new vision of God. Psalms, a conglomeration. It's a collection of 150 prayers and songs and poems that are intentionally arranged after the exile to Babylon. In them, you will find 5 large sections bookended by an introduction of Psalms 1 and 2 and a conclusion Psalms 146 and 150. Most often, we select various Psalms in times of need to gather understanding wisdom. But one thing we should do is read Psalms from 1 to 150 to understand the greater manner, its uniqueness, and its meaning. Ultimately, it's designed to be a prayer book of God's people. The Book of Proverbs. Oxford identifies Proverbs as a short, pithy saying in general use, stating a general truth or piece of advice. What I can say about the Book of Proverbs is that they are God's truths and should be used to bring divine truth into focus for our well-being, looking at life through His lenses. We have short, clever sayings and wisdom. It has an introduction, verses 1 through 9. In chapters 1 through 9, you see speeches by a father to his son, providing biblical wisdom. In chapter 10 through 29, you're applying wisdom to all aspects of life. No matter what, you can find something in Proverbs to identify an aspect of your life or current activities in life. The chapter 30 is the poems of Augur, which provide model reader of Proverbs. In chapter 31, it's a man named Lemuel who is a non-Israelite king and gives guidance for a wise and just leader. In Ecclesiastes, the teacher in the text deconstructs life, seeing it through naturalistic eyes, but realizes that God rules and reigns this world. Just as in our lives, no matter what the happenings in the text, God is present. He never leaves us nor forsakes us. Our lives are like vapors in the grand picture, fleeting away. Therefore, what truly matters in all of this is that we fear God and obey His commandments. Jumper Longman III, in his Theology of Solomon, Song of Solomon, wrote this: one of the most memorable scenes in the Old Testament is when God commands his prophet Hosea to marry a prostitute to symbolize his love for a faithless Israel. In spite of the predominantly negative use of the image, we must not lose sight of the fact that Israel was the bride of God. And so, as the song celebrates the intimacy between human lovers, we learn our relationship with God. So in Song of Songs, Song of Solomon, we see that through the text we receive godly perspective of the love between man and woman. We can see an ideal image of love in marriage, a celebration of love, desire, and intimacy. And sexuality is reclaimed as the expression that God created and declared as good. In conclusion, regarding the poetic books, these books remind us that life is multifaceted. We suffer, we praise, we seek wisdom, we find truth, and we love. Through these books, we seek God, accept our humanity, and find hope. Through these books, we find truths that transcend times and cultures. Thank you. Have a blessed day.